How's it going, YouTube? Jamie the Kid 00 here, coming to you guys with something a bit different. But first, I want to apologise. I know I've been gone for more than 3 weeks now, and the reasoning for that really is I'm a third-year university student now, and I have a lot more work on my plate than I've ever had before. I have a huge dissertations task that I have to do, and my past 3 weeks of my life have basically been consumed by parts of this dissertation, so I'm really sorry, but that's why I haven't been producing that many videos, and I'm probably not going to be producing as many as I did in the past 2 years over the course of this year. I'm going to try and do a bit of recording at YCS London, but again, that is probably going to be another thing that I can't really do too much about, because I'm only going to be able to take my phone. I won't be able to take any backup memories or anything like that, or any good cameras, so as much as I can get on my phone is as much as I can get on it, and if it runs out of battery, that's going to be the end of it. But what I'm planning to bring to you guys today is a video to solve a little debate that's kind of come up on my channel. And I feel I might be responding to the bigotry, but I feel I need to do some justification, because I haven't really seen people do these videos before. But this is a video discussing the difference between European print Yu-Gi-Oh cards and US print Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Basically, to my knowledge, the cards are printed. The TCG cards are printed in 2 places. One is in Belgium, which is written on some of the booster packs, the ones you can buy in the TCG over here, and the other factory is in the US. And both of them do have a different print style. American cards do look different from European cards. All of the cards for England and all of the European areas and the different languages that they're printed in, like Portuguese, Italian, French, German, all the things like that, they are all printed in Belgium, whereas an entire run of English cards are printed for the US market in the US. And both factories use a different ink calibration. And that's going to be, I'm going to try and show this during this video. There was nowhere I could sit in my room where there wasn't any glare. So I'm going to try and swap the cards around from side to side to prove that I'm not trying to manipulate the glare or anything like that. But I've had to put my torch on my phone to pour light onto my cards to kill the glare of the rest of my room. So if these cards are really bright, I'm sorry, but the phone torch is on. So we're going to get into the first 2 cards in the first comparison. So we're going to start off with these 2 copies of Wind-Up Zenmaines. The card on the right here is an American Zenmaines. I know because it's been ordered from America, and this has the foil patterning that American cards have. And on the left-hand side is a European Zenmaines. I was going to use my German one for this to better emphasize that, but I can't find my German one. Now, I'm going to talk about the consistent issues between American cards and English cards, and it's usually most apparent on secret rares, so the majority of cards in this are going to be secret rares. American cards, on average, have a much brighter picture. Now, if you can see on the colours of the Zenmaines as I move it around, and I try not to create too much glare, you can see that the right-hand Zenmaines is a lot paler, and its colours are a lot paler and a lot brighter than the left-hand Zenmaines, which is a lot darker. Also, on American cards, if you can see as I move it, the secret rare pattern is a lot more apparent and moving in one direction, and it's a lot less glittery and it's a lot more stripy, if you can see that. Whereas, I'll move them around, if you can see on the English one, the European one, it's nowhere near as kind of liney, it's a lot more glittery. And if you can see on the left-hand side, that paleness of the American one is very, very apparent now. Also, it's going to become apparent when I move on to kind of brighter cards like monster cards and spell cards. The backgrounds of cards, in this case it's black, so it's quite difficult to tell. The backgrounds of American cards are often paler than the TCG ones as well. And I don't know if you can notice this, but if I can get the camera to zoom, the text on American cards is slightly more, slightly darker and slightly bolder, if you can see on what will be your left-hand side and my right-hand side. So this one that's moving. You can see that the text is a little bolder compared to the European one. Anyway, we're going to try and speed this up now, but that is the main differences. This is going to be apparent in this in these 2 Exabeetles as well, if I can get the glare to go away. I'm really sorry about this glare, but there was no way I could do this in an easier way. I need to move my fingers to get this to try and refocus. There we go. If you can see on the left, the Exabeetle on the left is American, and the Exabeetle on the right is European. I'll just switch them over just to prove that there's no corruption. If you can see on the right-hand side, well, sorry, my right-hand side, ignore that. This one is the American one, this one is the European one. The American one, you can see, has the same lined pattern and is very pale in comparison to the English one, to the European one. And you can also see, again, the inconsistency in text, whereas the background is much whiter on the on this Exa and the text is a lot bolder in comparison to this one. So that's those. One that isn't as apparent, I did want to put in some fair tests that some American cards aren't as apparent. Are these two Vorse Raiders, if I can get them without too much glare. This one over here is American, and this one over here is European. And a lot of players do have a problem with this. A lot of you guys will probably be sitting there going, well, what's the problem with this? A lot of players like their cards to match, and a lot of players, and I've heard from a lot of US players as well, a lot of players prefer this darker, bolder style of European card compared to the paler style of the US one. And I'll just change them around again in the spirit of a fair test. But as you can see, it is paler, and there is that line thing. So they've had this inconsistency for basically since the game began. Because if you think about how old tin Vorse Raiders are, yeah, you can see the lininess there. It's not as bad. It's gotten worse over recent years, but it's always been there. They've always had this inconsistency. It's also apparent on these Tefnuits. This one here is American, and the other two are European. And on this one, it's very apparent about the text. The text is much darker, and the background is much lighter than the European counterparts. If you can see, the text is very, very strong, and the background is quite pale in comparison. I'll just kind of move it in between the others so you can kind of see the contrast a little better. And I hate this glare with all of my heart, but there we go. If you can see that, it's a lot paler, and you can see on its armor and its things like that, down by here, it's a lot paler. One of my favourites, which a lot of people have pointed out to me, is recently I picked up another couple of tour guides, and I'm going to place them down here for a minute to try and illustrate this. But over here are my 3 European tour guides from back when Tour Guide was at 3, which you will have seen in some of my old videos. I've had these for ages. One of them is German, so I can prove that it is European. So those 3 are European. These 2 over here are American, and you can immediately see, even from this distance, the squiggles are much. You can see the lines traveling in this direction a lot more, and you can also see that the background is a lot paler than the average orange on the others. And I say a lot, not too heavily, but we're just going to pick 2 out of the sample here and move them up closer to the camera. There we go. You can see here that this tour guide is a lot paler, and the sparkling is by far decreased. You can see there, it's a lot less glittery and a lot more liney. The text is not so different in this. It's kind of hard to compare because this one is German and this one is English. But this is a European pattern and this is American. You can also see it along the top as well. It's a bit paler. So that was the tour guide example. A few more examples, which I guess I should just rush through, are my Maxies. I have 2 European Maxies and 1 American one, which is very apparent because there's the lininess compared to the glitteriness when I jump it. It still glitters, don't get me wrong. They still glitter, but you can tell the difference. And it's a lot easier to tell in person. And you can also see that the orange is a lot paler and a lot more pastel-y, if you will, than these. Another bugbear I have is my 2 dualities do not actually match. One is from the US, one is not. Let me see if I can get this to angle correctly. There we go. You can see on this one it's a bit darker. This is actually a bit of an inconsistency. This is a European spell card, and this is an American spell card, and this one is actually darker. The American duality, you can tell by the lininess. The American duality is actually slightly darker than the European duality, so it's a bit different. I've also had a similar problem with these 2 Moray of Greed, but this is this is what it should look like. You can see that this green is a bit paler and this green is normal. This is the European one and this is the US copy. You can see that the green is a bit paler and the picture is a bit paler, and again you can see that the text is slightly bolder as well. And then here comes kind of what I think will be one of the most apparent, one of the most obvious comparisons. These 5 macrocosmoses. These 3 ultra macros over here are my ones from my Macro Rabbit deck from a good while ago. So I've had them for quite a while. And these 2 are from America. They are from my girlfriend's collection, which I've recently bought. But if you see, these 2 are very pale. And if I bring up a European one next to them, you can see the staggering level of difference between the 2. And this is kind of an exaggeration of the American effect. But this is kind of, you can tell the difference very easily with these, this being the European, these being the American copies of Macrocosmos, and it's very easy to tell the difference there. And it is this apparent in real life. It is like this easy to tell the other cards apart, to be quite frank. It's just very difficult for me to actually get a very stark comparison on the camera. So this is the easiest one for me to show with the paleness of the picture. On average, US cards in whatever holo rarity are a lot paler in the picture. The foil of the name is never different, it's always the same. The stamping of the text is sometimes different, it varies, but the one consistency is the picture and the background are almost always a different colour from the European. And that is where their inks vary. Their inks vary when it comes to this. So that is my presentation on that. That is all I wanted to talk about, really. I just wanted to kind of clear the air because for those of you who don't know why this video is being made, a little while ago I produced a video where I opened a product and I was a little upset because the product appeared to be of US print, and that is simply because I was upset because if I pull anything from that product, I'm then going to be really picky because the stuff that comes out of that product will not match my deck if I choose to put it in my deck. So the colours will be different, and I wouldn't like that. When I'm looking through stuff and I'm playing it, it won't look the same, and I guess I'm neat and tidy like that. Well, like when I'm a rarity haul like this, I like to make sure everything matches and looks quite nice. Or as much as I can match it within my budget. But yeah, I just wanted to explain, like, I've got nothing against the US. I love the US as a country. I love the players. I love the cards. But I don't like the difference. I prefer the darkness of the European print to the paleness of the US print. And a lot of US players will say the same. I know European players who prefer US print cards. And I've done trades with European players for my US print to trade mine across to be European. It's just the way things are. So I don't hate the US. I don't hate the people of the US. I just have a problem with the difference in the ink quality between the two cards. That's about it, really. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I'm sorry if there were any misconceptions, and there really shouldn't be any more. But yeah, any further questions, or if you'd like me to try and simplify this just by taking pictures of them and putting them up on my Facebook, because that'd probably be easier for you guys to see the difference, I can do that as well. Otherwise, yeah, I'll see you guys when I do. This is Jamie the Kid 00, and I'm back for a while. Bye.